Cosmology is in crisis, and James Webb has shown us that there is something very wrong with our understanding of time after the Big Bang. But now, very shortly after the Big Bang, we have discovered something incredible that could shed light on the darkness. Be sure to stay tuned until the end to find out all about the cosmological crisis, and if you like it, I'd be galactically happy to get a thumbs up and a comment, because that's how we get the YouTube algorithm to show this video to even more people, who will then learn something. Thank you guys and welcome. Time machines are real, no joke. We have developed a fully functional machine for time travel with the James Webb Telescope. We can use it to look billions of years into the past, all the way back to the Big Bang. According to current scientific knowledge, this happened 13.8 billion years ago, and the universe suddenly began to expand after everything that existed had previously been squeezed into a tiny singularity. Incidentally, there was probably no bang at all. The term Big Bang was developed in the early 20th century by critics of the Big Bang theory in order to ridicule it. The father of the Big Bang, the Belgian physicist and priest Georges Lemaitre, who was the first to come up with the idea of a singular starting point for the cosmos, called the whole primordial atom or the cosmic egg. From my point of view, this is a very nice way of describing it, because it already contained everything that the later cosmos needed for its development. Just like a chicken egg contains everything that makes up the later chicken. If you take the analogy to its logical conclusion, the cosmic egg has now become the cosmic chicken. We live in a gigantic fowl. Praise the space rooster. What am I telling you again? James Webb has managed to capture some of the very first galaxies in the cosmos. Last year, he looked with his infrared eyes into the galaxy cluster Able 2744 and spotted a galaxy that had already existed 350 million years after the Big Bang. And the really crazy thing is that it not only existed so early, but was also huge and contained hundreds of millions of star systems. This is actually an impossibility, because how can it be that galaxies had enough time to develop so many stars in this short period after the beginning of the universe? And now it gets even crazier. The James Webb has discovered 6 new galaxies at the beginning of time, which scientists are already calling universe breakers. Here you can see the galactic corridor of the universe breaking 6. We see these galaxies only 500 to 700 million years after the Big Bang, so they are not the oldest that James Webb has discovered so far. But they are gigantic in size and contain hundreds of billions of stars. This makes them larger than the oldest galaxy James Webb has discovered so far, and they can even compete with the Milky Way in terms of size. So we now have galaxies that are really fully grown, that are on a par with the Milky Way in terms of their stage of development, and that in only a very short time after the Big Bang. How is this possible? The discoverers of the 6 new galaxies are themselves astounded. The researcher involved, Dr. Erica Nelson, says, "This is totally crazy. These galaxies shouldn't have had time to form." And astrophysicist Joe Leah adds, "It turns out we found something so unexpected that it actually creates problems for science. It calls into question the whole picture of how galaxies used to form." James Webb operates infrared instruments capable of detecting the light emitted by the oldest stars and galaxies. And while reviewing some images from the first James Webb datasets released by NASA, Erica Nelson, PhD, discovered a series of fuzzy dots that appeared unusually bright and unusually red. In astronomy, a red color is often a clue to the age of an object, as in some old men with bright red heads. In astronomy, however, it has other reasons. When light spreads out in the expanding universe, it is stretched. This is also called the redshift, and these galaxies were not really reddish at the time we see them, but this is just the stretching of the light that reaches us billions of years later. Based on this redshift of the light, we can then also calculate approximately how old objects are. The longer you think about it, the more incredible it becomes, doesn't it? We see objects billions of years in the past. An alien species billions of light years away could also be observing our Milky Way as it looks shortly after the Big Bang. So perhaps an alien space telescope is targeting the early Milky Way, unaware that today, billions of years later, an intelligent species has emerged on a planet in this galaxy. Because of things like this, I really can't understand why there are people who find astronomy boring. What's more fascinating than that? At the latest with this discovery of the 6 universe-breaking galaxies, cosmology can no longer avoid the question, what is wrong with our previous assumptions? Something about the theories of the early universe cannot be right, because otherwise these discovered galaxies could not exist. The only question now is what? Before I explain what I think, please let me know in the comments what you think. How can the universe breakers be explained? How could galaxies develop so early on? Do we perhaps need to shake up the Big Bang itself? I look forward to hearing what you think and hope that we can get an exciting discussion going in the comments. Basically, there are two possible explanations for James Webb's findings. Either galaxies evolved differently in the early cosmos than we thought, or the cosmos itself behaved differently than we thought. Previous models assumed that after a period of rapid expansion, the universe cooled down for a few 100 million years to such an extent that the gas condensed and collapsed to form the first stars and galaxies were formed. The period before the first stars formed, before the universe became transparent at all through the first light, is called the Dark Ages. That is the theory. Isn't it possible that we are wrong in our view of the Dark Ages? Astrophysicist Dr. Emma Chapman said, "The discovery of such massive galaxies so soon after the Big Bang suggests that the Dark Ages may not have been so dark after all, and that the universe was awash with star formation much earlier than we thought." In other words, one solution to the puzzle could be that star formation began earlier in the universe, giving galaxies more time to fully evolve. The conditions in the early cosmos, where everything was still very close together, could also have caused galaxies to evolve very, very quickly. Imagine being locked in a small room filled to the brim with cookies and pizza. You'd grow quickly, wouldn't you? At least in width. In this context, another discovery made some time ago with the ALMA radio telescope is also exciting. Researchers discovered a supermassive black hole in a galaxy just 750 million years after the Big Bang. The discovery of such a heavy black hole shortly after the Big Bang came as a great surprise to researchers, as so-called primordial black holes, i.e. black holes in the early phase of the cosmos, were previously thought to be very light, as they had not yet had so much time to devour matter and thus become heavier. The supermassive black hole now discovered in the galaxy COST 87259 is enveloped in a dense cloud of dust and gas, which could indicate an extremely high star formation rate, as new stars are formed from such galactic material. Analysis of the dust cloud around the black hole has shown that the star formation rate in this galaxy is more than 1,000 times higher than the current rate in the Milky Way. Lead author of the study Ryan Ensley said, "Although no one expected to find this kind of object in the very early universe, its discovery is a step toward a better understanding of how billion solar mass black holes could form so early in the history of the universe and how the most massive galaxies evolved." This discovery thus supports the theory that galaxy evolution in the early universe was simply much more rapid and under extreme conditions. Supermassive primordial black holes as catalysts could be an important aspect of the solution to the puzzle. Now there are also people who claim that the James Webb developments disprove the Big Bang. It has to be said quite clearly that there is virtually no evidence for this. Just because we now know that galaxies formed earlier and faster than we thought does not mean that the Big Bang never happened. Science is constantly evolving and we are adapting our knowledge, but that doesn't mean we should overturn everything we have already discovered in the past. The James Webb discovery ultimately does not shake the fact that the universe began at a singular point. After all, the expansion of the cosmos has been proven beyond doubt. When we found out that the Earth is not a perfect sphere, but flattened at the poles and thickened at the equator, nobody stood up and said, "Aha, that means that the entire spherical theory is wrong. The Earth is flat." Okay, actually I know from enough comments under my videos that there are exactly those people who have said that. So it remains exciting, and James Webb and his universe-breaking galaxies are revolutionizing our understanding of the beginning of the universe and unraveling the mysteries of the beginning of space and time. And this is already so fascinating and exciting that there is no need to shake the Big Bang. All this thinking about distant galaxies and the expansion of space-time is quite confusing. It's easier to visualize with the cosmic web, the largest structure in the cosmos. And researchers have now made a huge breakthrough regarding this gigantic web and have succeeded in obtaining incredible new images of it. The original footage, including a guaranteed cosmic identity crisis, can be seen in the video below. Be sure to check it out, and if you want to support my work, you can get the shirts from the videos, real moon rocks, and my autographed space books in my space store. Every purchase helps me a lot to keep the channel going. Otherwise, I'd say see you in the next video. Take care, guys.